My dear students, hope all of you are safe in your home, preparing notes and reading to pass your time in a best manner. Okay, today we'll discuss antipsychotic drugs. All of you know, as for the definitions, antipsychotic drugs are those categories of drug which are used in case of clinically detected psychological disorder or psychosis. In other words, these are known as neuroleptic drugs. Then first we know what is psychosis. Medically or clinically, psychosis is broadly classified into two categories. One is schizophrenia, other is affective disorder. In two terms, it includes many subterms like mania, phobia, hallucination and stereotype activity. The most important psychological disorder clinically detected in many cases of psychological patient is schizophrenia. Again, schizophrenia is categorized under two headings. One is hallucinations and other is delusions. You might have heard about hallucinations and delusions and might have seen this type of disorder in many movies, both in Hollywood movies and both in Bollywood movies. The most popular movies, Bhul Bhulaiya, is based upon that psychological disorder, schizophrenia. You might have heard that dialogue, "Ami je tumar, Shuddho je tumar, Ami tumko Durgashtami marbo." That means at that movie, a kind of psychological disorder or schizophrenia have been shown. Okay, then another movie is Rogue, R-O-G. I think the artist are Irfan. In that movie, Irfan imagine a girl and he is dancing with that girl, he is playing with that girl, he is singing with that girl in park, but there is no girls. The girl is only his imagination. That is a kind of schizophrenia or that is a kind of delusions. Okay, then what is the reasons of that type of activity and what is the reasons of hallucinations? Medically, it has shown that there are three components or there are three factors which can be explained or which can explain the basis of hallucinations. One is metabolic, means metabolic disorder due to which there is imbalance in neurotransmitters, centrally acting neurotransmitters. Then another is genetic and the third one is psychosocial factor. Psychosocial factor. Human beings are social animals. If they are living in society, if there is a disorder or if there is a social disturbances, one may have certain kind of psychological disorder or psychosis. I can say globally 99% of people, they are having psychological disorder, mild to very low or very mild kind of psychological disorder. It include you and include me also. My dear, suppose you are inside the classroom, teacher is teaching, but your mind is in Big Bazaar, or some students is thinking about making TikTok video inside the classroom. That means you are unable to present or unable to adhere in the present situations. Physically you are present in the classroom, your mind is not inside the classroom, it is outside of the classroom. That may also categorize as a very mild form of psychological disorder. No medical attention, only counseling or only self-introspections can overcome this type of mild forms of disorder. So this kind of very mild form of psychological disorder may overcome by some non-pharmacological method like yoga, pranayam and mantra chanting, which makes the mind stable. Mind is one of the most important factors for each and every human beings. I have heard from my mother and I read from the books about a person. You know that person? He is Vivekananda. As for his name, he is getting peace or pleasure from his soul. I can say, in my view, he is the one and only persons without any psychological disorder. His mind is quiet and completely psychological stable. Here I am highlighting the neuropathological basis of psychosis. काहींकि ए टाइप रो साइकोसिस हुए पिला माने मु आगु तुमको कहितली रिगार्डिंग न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर ओके डोपामिनर्जिक न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर अदर न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर तमे माने जानि थिबो डोपामाइन is one of the major neurotransmitter of our central nervous system. See, this is the normal dopamine level. It is within me and within you also. It is necessary. The normal dopamine level, maintaining of normal level is much more important. जदि dopamine टिके तलकु खसीगला, माइंड टिके तलकु खसीगला, dopamine level टिके खसी जाउची, बेसी टिके खसीगला, a condition exists which is known as Parkinsonism. Whole body तमर vibrate करिवो, tremble करिवो, even तमर लीव गुडा भी थरिवो in case of Parkinsonism. Okay, जदि कोनोसी कारणरु ए dopamine level बहु मात्रा रे बढ़ी जाउची, increase response of dopamine level, then what happen? Psychosis occurs. Mainly psychological disorder or psychosis occurs due to rise turnover of dopamine level or hyperactivity of dopaminergic receptors. Mind it, a neurotransmitter ta also govern your mood. This is responsible for your mood. The normal level should be maintained for normal mood. Okay. So last class we have discussed about different kind of psychological disorder and the fundamentals of antipsychotic drugs. Now we will classify them. Generally, antipsychotic drugs are classified as typical neuroleptics and atypical neuroleptics. Typical neuroleptics are classified according to their potency, low potency. The best example is chlorpromazine, the most important drug. Then high potency, the best example is haloperidol. Then atypical antipsychotics, which include clozapines, risperidone and ziprasidone like drug. Okay, you write the entire classifications from your book in a table forms. Okay, if we tell or highlight the general mechanism in a single word, then we can say antipsychotic are working by blocking the dopaminergic activity in brain. In simple word, these groups of drug blocks dopaminergic receptors in brain and periphery. Okay, so for most of the antipsychotic drug, for chlorpromazine like drug, the mechanism is like that. I am explaining you diagrammatically. I have discussed the dopaminergic neurotransmissions in your class before 2 months or before 2 months. Okay, I have given you the diagram also. The turnover of dopaminergic neurotransmissions is with you in your notes. You see again the diagram. See, this is vesicle. See, this is vesicle. Inside the vesicle, dopamine is stored. Okay, when the vesicle is fuses with the cell membrane, then what happen? Dopamine release, and that dopamine is captured by postsynaptic dopaminergic receptor. All of you know, drug plus receptor, a biological response. Without receptor, not only drug but also many biochemicals, almost all biochemical entity present inside the body, they cannot function. They need a receptors. Just like that, when dopamine release, it needs postsynaptic dopaminergic receptor. Generally, dopaminergic receptors are 5 types: D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. Among the 5 receptor, here the D2 receptor is much more important, which causes psychological disturbance or psychosis related problems, because the affinity of D2 receptor is much more towards dopamine. See, when these dopamine release, dopaminergic receptor capture and exhaust hyperactivity of dopamine. Okay, then what the drug aim or how the drug target these drugs are simply blocking the dopamine receptor. That's why they are also known as dopamine receptor blocker, or many antipsychotic drugs are named as D2 receptor blocker. By blocking the dopaminergic receptor, they decrease intracellular response of dopamine. See again here, after fusions of vesicles with cell membrane, dopamine release and capture by dopaminergic receptor. If in that area dopaminergic receptors are hyperactivity, then one is having hyperactivity of dopamine, and antipsychotic drug are simply blocks this receptor. By blocking this receptor, they have a control over dopaminergic overactivity. Okay, so this mechanism is also applicable for the important drug chlorpromazines. When your college will open, I will give the mechanism diagrammatically in a big paper. Other things you may make note after my explanations. So let's discuss about the most important drug, that is chlorpromazine. The most commonly used drug in case of psychosis is chlorpromazine. Okay, the drug blocks noradrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, histamine inside the sites. Other central effects of chlorpromazine is it also inhibit chemoreceptor trigger zone CTZ. Means when chemoreceptor trigger zone is being blocked by this drug has an effect on psychosis induced vomiting, because in previous class you know, when chemoreceptor trigger zone, which is very sensitized zone, okay, present in the brain, it stimulates. When it stimulated, then what happened? Vomiting occur, nausea and vomiting feelings. In case of psychosis, due to overactivity of neurotransmitter, chemoreceptor trigger zone also increase or stimulated. That also inhibited or blocked by this drug chlorpromazine, which aims to stop vomiting or nausea feeling in case of psychosis treated by chlorpromazine. Okay, then also this drug has another effect, that is tranquilizing effect. The exact mechanism is not known, but it is suggested that this drug doing this type of activity by blocking central adrenergic transmissions. Okay, these are the main effects of chlorpromazines and most of the related drugs. Okay, then in short, I am discussing with you the pharmacokinetic. All of you know the pattern and style of writing of pharmacokinetic. In previous many classes you have written by yourself. I have assigned it you. Still I am discussing it. The oral absorption of chlorpromazine is incomplete. The bioavailability is also not good. It is around near about 30% bioavailability. The T half is varies from 2 to 24 hours. The metabolism of the drug is by hepatic microsomal enzymes, and the rate of excretion is very slow. Now we discuss about the main adverse effect of that drugs. Okay, so the important adverse effects of chlorpromazines is tremor, postural hypotensions, constipations, confusion, sexual dysfunction, and extrapyramidal side effect. It is the side effect not only for chlorpromazine, it is the common side effect for maximum antipsychotic drug, that is extrapyramidal side effect, which mainly includes Parkinsonism like symptoms and dyskinesia. कहीं एटा हुए पिला माने जे लॉन्ग टर्म यूज ऑफ एंटीसाइकोटिक ड्रग लाइक क्लोप्रोमाजिन सेमाने कोन करिवे बेले बेले नॉर्मल लेवल डोपामाइन को कम करे देबे. मु तुमको फर्स्ट क्लास कहितली नॉर्मल लेवल डोपामाइन कमीबा भी खराब, दैट इज ए पैथोलॉजिकल सिम्पटम. कहीं की ना नॉर्मल लेवल जेतबे डोपामाइन कमी जाए आमे सेतबे कोन पाइबा पार्किंसोनिज्म डिजीज. ओके, now the therapeutic uses of chlorpromazines. Okay, the most important uses, you know it, in case of different kind of psychosis like schizophrenia, mania, anxiety neurosis, painful terminal illness, drug-induced psychosis, shock, and also in nausea and vomiting. And another use is drug withdrawal symptom and mental retardations. These are the most important use. Now you can make notes, write the definitions of psychosis, antipsychotic drug, write different kind of psychological disorder like schizophrenia, delusion, mania, phobia, hallucination, stereotype activity. You may get short questions. What is phobia? What is mania? What is stereotype activity? Write 1 to 2 sentences and get 2 marks. Then write the classification in detail. Write the pharmacology of chlorpromazines, okay, which I have discussed. By following this, you may make notes from KD Tripathi or any other books available with you. Just leave half page under mechanism, because I will give complete diagram. You can explain the mechanism. On that basis, I will give the note on mechanism, which is a difficult pass. Pharmacokinetic you write, uses and adverse effect you write. You may get a long questions. Classify antipsychotic drug, write in detail about chlorpromazine, including therapeutic use, adverse effect and pharmacological actions. Okay.